and welcome. My name is Alison Kearsley, and along with Dr. Chong, I am your co-convener for the 2020 FPM Symposium Day coming to you finally from Perth. This meeting has been a very long time in coming, as we were previously scheduled for 2020, but COVID had other ideas. Therefore, my very great pleasure to finally introduce the current FPM Dean, Professor Mick Vagg, to formally open the meeting. Mick.
Thanks, Alison. It's my duty and it's my sincere pleasure to welcome you all to the 2022 FPM Annual Pain Symposium with the theme of adapting. We gather around our screens in this virtual space to learn, to perhaps debate, cogitate and reflect as the community of specialist pain medicine physicians and also our fellow travellers in the pain management enterprise. It's therefore fitting that I acknowledge Yancha Tingalu, Ngadlu Ganya Tatanga, Bunba Bunbul Yarindi, which means today we hold a conference on Kaurna country here in Adelaide, which is where I am. But the real work of today was done much further west on Noongar Boodja, the country of the Noongar people of southwestern Australia. There's no archaeological evidence of any other cultural group having inhabited this region of our continent for more than 45,000 years. Their connection to country, to waters and seas is as old as humanity itself in this country for all we know. So we pause to reflect, to acknowledge this profound connection to country, to acknowledge our gratitude for the sharing of this land and our sorrow for the cost of sharing the land. We pay our respects to elders, past, present and to come. And FPM also acknowledges any Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, Maori or Pacific Nations delegates who are watching the stream. For our cousins over the ditch, kia ora, nau mai hei iri mai. Te whare tohu o te ho whakaora acknowledges and respects Ngā Iwi Māori as the tangata whenua of Aotearoa and commits to upholding our obligations in the spirit of the Treaty of Waitangi, to fostering the faculty's relationship with Māori, supporting Māori fellows and trainees and striving to improve the health of Māori. I next want to acknowledge Dr. Alison Kearsley, our convener and her committee, Dr. Chui Chong, assisted by Dr. Pavla Walsh and Dr. Brian Hugh. Their journey towards today began in 2018. And with COVID as their co-pilot, they have struck turbulence, they've slowed down, they've lost altitude, then they've levelled off, regained altitude, started going again. And then a few weeks ago, I suspect they felt like reaching for the sick bags. I would dearly love to have been able to thank them in person for their work with the program today, but I think that will have to wait until I can catch them at another meeting or another faculty event, possibly at a bar or restaurant, to thank them properly. The program today is outstanding and it's a credit to the organising committee, and on behalf of the faculty leadership, I salute you for your tenacity, enthusiasm and sheer grit to get this meeting up. And a lot of the credit for this program goes to our invited speakers, Professor Claudia Sommer, Professor Bart Morlion. These guests need no real introduction from me to this audience, and I wish to place on record the faculty's lasting regret that we couldn't have hosted in person two such stellar pain people. I thank all of the speakers and panellists that you will see today who have borne with multiple program changes to finally land in this virtual space. The program today is strong enough that it will attract what looks like it will probably be the second highest attendance of any faculty symposium. In particular, I'd like to thank and possibly commiserate with Dr. Steph Oak, who ran the workshop preceding us, which meant a very early start, but it was the only one of Chewy's magnificent workshop programs to survive the jump to cyberspace. I am aware there's probably one on Monday, hopefully. So we did manage to get a second workshop rescued. But my own poor old Botox workshop will have to go back on the shelf for another few years, I guess. But you will be hearing a lot more about Botox this morning anyway from Rob Delgado, who I think is probably going to give you much better information than I would have anyway. Our sincere thanks to our major sponsor, Seqirus, and to our other exhibitors. And they've hung tough with us in uncertain times. There's nothing quite as good as hanging around at the breaks at the industry booths, and we thank our sponsors for making the jump with us into the virtual environment. And I encourage delegates to patronise those virtual booths and see what is on offer from our exhibitors. So all that remains is for me to fade back into the mothership and wish everyone well for today. I'll certainly be watching with a lot of interest. So let the fun begin.
Thank you for that, Mick. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Pavla Walsh, who will be chairing the first session update on headache and facial pain.
Good morning, everybody. So it's my very great pleasure to introduce as our first speaker, Professor Claudia Sommer. This is a patient who is... Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So Professor Claudia Sommer is a professor of neurology at the University of Würzburg in Germany with a focus on peripheral neurology and pain. She received training in neurology, psychiatry, neuropathology, and experimental anesthesia. At the University of Würzburg, she serves as a consultant in neurology, organises outpatients clinics for patients with peripheral neuropathies, headache and pain, and she leads the Northern Bavarian Neuromuscular Institute and the Peripheral Nerve Laboratory. Her research interests are fibromyalgia syndrome, the pathophysiology of antibody-mediated diseases, and the role of inflammation in the pathophysiology of neuropathic pain. She has written more than 250 original research papers and more than 100 reviews and book chapters, as well as editing several books. Professor Sommer is active in the development of national and international guidelines on the diagnosis and treatment of peripheral neuropathologies and on neuropathic pain. She is a reviewer for scientific journals, the German Research Foundation, and serves on the editorial boards of several scientific journals. She is a long-standing member of the Peripheral Nerve Society and a board member of the Inflammatory Neuropathy Consortium, as well as the chair of the teaching course subcommittee of the European Academy of Neurology. As of January 2019, she is the president of the German Pain Society and is president-elect of the International Society for the Study of Pain.